fight, stealth, AI, and also navigation. A lot of it is actually more on the world design side. How do we create flow in the environment? The biggest impact on traversal and navigation, it's really actually the wilderness, how big it is, and the vehicles, the mounts, and all the different things you can do with them and all the ways they can interact with one another. This is where we put a lot of effort because the world is really huge and we needed to make sure that traveling through this world was exciting and fun and felt fresh. So this is where we knew very early on, okay, we need mounts. Mounts need to have a lot of value. At the beginning of the game, you'll see that some enemies have chariots. Of course, if you take them out, you can hijack the chariot and play around with it yourself. Horses are stronger in tight spaces where you're dense, let's say, environments of trees and rocks, where the chariots are much more powerful. We learned quite a lot in Black Flag in terms of how do you build cities with really focused navigation. We went from, maybe it's a bit techie, but what that means for the player is that it's much more responsive, it's much more fluid. Going from land to swimming, to underwater swimming, to riding a vehicle, that there was a smooth curve there, that it makes sense, that you're not feeling like there's a jam. We really looked at everything in this game to say, how do we revamp the gameplay of this series? How do we bring something fresh and modern? But there are elements that we've kept, out of love. So for example, being on a giant tower and being able to dive down, having a leap of faith. The leap of faith itself is actually something we look at as like saying that this is something that an assassin does. They give a belief into something. So yes, we have haystacks that are meant to catch you comfortably, but we play with this concept of actually what is a leap of faith. And the environment as a whole is fully climbable pretty much. Of course, we have a few major cities that have a more classic sense of AC, of urban jungle, buildings and tall buildings. Alexandria being one of these cities that's quite large. For sure, Alexandria itself is more structured city. It's a more modernized city. Let's say it was an engineered city, so it's more organic, it's almost chaotic. It's windy streets and curvy streets and odd-shaped buildings and different heights. And so the cities really have different flavor to them. In the wilderness, it's much more open and widespread, but you still have giant cliff faces, mountains. The enhancement made to climbing is that effectively now almost any rock surface is also climbable. Climbing the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, for example, it's not a